Hey guys, it's Robyn. I I think I alluded to the other day that I had been receiving a lot of information recently from my team in spirit, and the other day I just got an insane amount of downloads, and I've really kind of been struggling as to how to get the information out. Initially, I started writing, and then it just became probably like a short novel, and I couldn't stop writing, and it's led me to more writing. And I'm a very visual person, and I've been getting all of these images, and I understand the information that I've been given. It's just been really difficult for me to take it from a knowingness to then being able to articulate it in any kind of form or language. So today I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be attaching an article. Well, first, I'm probably going to be breaking this down into several videos, and I will be attaching writing along with it. And then I've been working on some visual images to kind of help me illustrate the information that I'm trying to convey. So I think that the first thing is that the entire spiritual community, and if you're watching this video, you're a part of that, can all really agree on the fact that the planet is going through a massive shift right now, and an awakening. And most of us will be talking about the shift from a 3D to a 4D in our grid. And I was thinking about that and really how to relay what is, no one's really talking about what is the difference between a 3, a 4, and a 5D reality, and what does that mean in the context of that the earth is shifting into a new dimension. When you say that, it just invokes all kinds of imagery that may kind of sound a little bit out there until you break it down into energy. And that's a lot of the visuals that I've been given is energetically, why is this happening and what does that look like specifically. So this video is really just going to be mostly about what, as I understand it, what is the characteristics of a 3, 4, and 5D reality, and what does it mean for us if we are shifting from a 3 to a 4D reality. So I think that the best way to do that is to show it to you kind of in a visual image. So that's what I'm going to do. Hold on. Okay, so you'll just kind of have to bear with me because the other devices are being used right now. So I'm trying to use my phone, and if this is a little shaky, it's just because I'm holding this at the same time. So I have been getting a lot of downloads and a lot of visual images in the download. So in talking about third, fourth, and fifth dimensional consciousness, what we're really saying is consciousness is just a point from a spiritual and an energetic perspective. Dimension is just a point of perception. So, and that point of perception dictates the frequency in which the human is existing in. So, and then that frequency dictates the experiences you have in your reality. And it's important to understand that we are multidimensional beings, we're quantum beings. So we have access to many different dimensions at any given time. However, our dominant vibration is going to dictate our experiences. So this just, shows you a person here, and they have a dominant vibration that, let's say, at a 4.8. And then, you have this person over here and they have a dominant vibration of, let's say, a 3.3, okay? And it's normal for us to be experiencing more than one dimensional reality on any given day in any different moment. So many of us, myself included, may have one belief system that's, let's say, rooted in a 3D reality on one topic, but then you have a 4D reality on a different topic. So all of these combined together are going to make up your energetic frequency. And each person has their own energetic frequency that's kind of like, a fingerprint. And it's just made up for you based on your thoughts, your beliefs, and what your dominant vibration is in any given point during the day. It's important to understand with all this, though, that, no one person is better than another. So just because this person is experiencing a dominant vibration of a 3.3 and this person's experiencing a dominant vibration of a 4.8, it doesn't mean that this person is better than this person, or that, they're more awake than the other person. It just means that this is where they're residing at any given moment. So, and it's all based on your own spiritual path and divine timing and wherever you are in that now moment. So this person may have contracted to have, a lower frequency at that given time based on their spiritual path. And this person, may be experiencing a higher vibration based on their spiritual path. But it doesn't mean that one person is better than the other. And we can't know why an individual is holding a vibration at any given point in time. And it like I was trying to say, it doesn't mean that one person is more awake than the other person. Really, all an awakening is becoming more present to each now moment and not reliving the past that's already gone or borrowing from a future that doesn't exist yet. And then coming to the understanding that we are not the mind or the body or the emotions. We're immortal beings witnessing a temporary human experience. So how can you really determine what your dominant vibration is? Well, mainly you're going to be able to determine that based on the experiences that you're having in your now moments and in your reality. But if you're in the 3D, let's say you're rooted in a 3D consciousness, like let's say your energetic signature is from a 3.0 to a 3.9. You don't have access to a perception that's a 4.0 or higher. So you're not even going to be aware that you're creating your own reality at this point. And anyone who's holding a dominant vibration in the 4 or the 5D will attest to the fact that when you were in the 3D, you thought that your reality was happening and you were responding to it. You didn't understand that you had any control over that reality. So the things that really characterize a 3D reality is you view yourself as separate. You're still rooted in the physical world, and you feel it's appropriate to judge others based on their appearance, their race, their gender, their culture, their financial standing, etc., etc. So you feel justified in that. You seek happiness outside of yourself, things like money, material possessions, relationships, physical appearance. All of these things seem to be the key and necessary to your fulfillment. So you're looking for these things, and when I have them, I'll be happy. When I satisfy them, then I'll be happy and I will be fulfilled. And then the next point is that life is characterized by polar opposites and dualistic thinking. There are good and bad choices. There's good and bad people, good and bad thoughts. there's a right and a wrong way to do things. Life is made up of winners and losers. I must be the winner. It's very polarizing, dualistic, and based on the dualistic way of thinking. The labels that I have for myself define who I am as a person. So I am identified with my role. So I'm identified as a mother or a husband, a homeowner. I'm identified with my job title. This is who I am, and this is how I judge myself against others. There's a competition in life, and I'm competing because there is not enough to go around. I'm identified with the idea of lack. I must accumulate and protect because it could all be taken from me at any given moment. You very rarely experience what we would consider a now moment. Your mind is running the show, either replaying the past or worrying about the future. You live life controlled by the mind and the emotions. On rare occasions, you may experience something that takes your breath away or that brings you great joy, but then you quickly slip back into the illusion of the mind. This is your reality, and you are reacting to your circumstances at any given moment. And again, like I said before, the other main thing is, other than the dualistic way of thinking, is that reality is created for you, and you are just responding to it. So when you begin to become more present to the now moment, and you step into a 4D consciousness. This is sometimes called the doorway or the magical dream world. You begin to view yourself as connected to everything and they to you. Duality still does exist, and therefore the ego can as well and will. You may still judge things, however, they begin to take on a spiritual theme. So, i.e., you view yourself as awake and then you judge others for being asleep. As the light of consciousness begins to awaken within, 3D beliefs start to fall away, and they may even seem absurd to you. This is a point, and we all had this point in our awakening, or maybe you're there now, where you become angry or resentful of the society that, implanted these belief systems, or of the programs that domesticated you. You may start to, view the matrix as an enemy. Your attention shifts from the material world to spiritual exploration, and you may find yourself engrossed with absorbing knowledge and understanding. So I know for a large part, and still to some extent, I went through several years where it was just, that's all I wanted to do was absorb knowledge and read books and listen to other people, and I just couldn't get my hands on enough information. At this point, and this definitely would characterize a portion of an awakening, the ego becomes the enemy, and therefore you want to get rid of it. So anything that's egoic, you think you need to get rid of, and creating the enemy within itself is part of the problem. But anyway, that's one of the aspects of a 4D consciousness. The more knowledge and the better understanding seem to be the key to your fulfillment. So now you've shifted from a place where, instead of searching for things and possessions and a better role and accumulating more, now it's shifted to you want to have more knowledge and you want to have a greater understanding. So it's just on a different level. At this point in time, though, time does become much more fluid. However, you're still existing on a linear timeline, and on one timeline. You are able to travel to the astral realms. Most people do this in the dream state anyway. You're able to connect to the collective consciousness through the altered mind, and are able to glean information and insights. And the easiest way to do that, as you all know, would be through meditation. You begin to learn about universal laws and energy, and then you begin to apply that in your life. This may be the point where you stumble across the Secret, or Abraham Hicks, and you're like, whoa, and it's mind blowing. You begin to live more spiritually and from the heart, and you understand that we are all connected and not separate. You begin to purge 3D programming and beliefs. And at this is a point in time when you also become aware of past karmic cycles, and you set about trying to transmute those or heal those past karmic cycles, whether that's in this lifetime or from a karmic load that you're carrying from a past lifetime. And in the 4D, your spiritual gifts begin to develop. So because you're gleaning all this information, you're traveling to astral states, you're absorbing all this knowledge, you start to be able to work with your telepathy and clairvoyance, claircognizance. These things really start to develop, and you hone them in. So this was really cute too. I was talking about dualistic thinking and polar opposites the other day, and my 8-year-old, who is just, he's so magical. He came up with this little chart here, and so this is all his doing. So all I did was copy it, and I did another version of it just on a larger piece of paper so that you guys could see it. But here he put lazy over here and an extreme over here, and this as the energetic field, and they exist on the same frequency. They're just opposite ends of the spectrum. So he has his point here as a 0 point, and then 100 here, and then a 0 point and 100 here. So this describes the energy of polarity exactly. He's so gifted that. So all I did was just repeat it. I don't know if you can see that. I couldn't find my drawing pad, so I ended up having to put it on a piece of printer paper, and it's not serving me very well. Let's see if I can get it to stand up. Oh, I can't. Let's see if I can shift it here. Hold on. Okay, so in talking about dualistic thinking and polarity, everything in this 3 and 4D reality does exist on a polarity. So it is on the same spectrum. So this could just as easily say hot and cold. And at this is a 0 point on this end, and this is a 0 point on this end. And we were talking about, how in the middle you are able to transmute one into the other. And why taking a middle ground is really the best way to go. And most people don't even really understand this, that the opposite of love is actually fear. And we're seeing that right now, that people are very polarized. And so the more fear there is, though, on the planet, the benefit that we are all seeing as light workers and people that are tapping in is that the love energy and the higher dimensional energy is so much more potent right now. It has to be. It has to be on the grid. So the more fear that exists and the more potent that is on the planet, it's going to hold true on the opposite end of the spectrum. So the veil is very thin right now, and we can all tap into that. This also explains too why when you are wondering, when they say opposites attract, or you're wondering why you're attracting in a polar opposite, is because you are existing on the same frequency. They're just two ends of the same spectrum, and one is meant to show, they're meant to show each other something. So for all of my twin flames out there, that the whole point of our mission is to come into balance, to that balanced state within our divine masculine and feminine energies as well. So because the energy fields are connected, the more you move into a balanced state, the more it pulls the other person into a balanced state as well, just by default, because you're sharing one energy field. So yeah, I just thought that was pretty neat that my 8-year-old was able to show me something and visually put this down in a way that was understandable, because I'm a very visual person, and a lot of what I'm shown is in images and pictures, and it's not in words. And the understanding comes from the images, and the words sometimes just kind of get in the way. Okay, so, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the fifth dimensional or unity consciousness. It's also known as heaven on earth. And this is just like a quick draft here, but I don't know if I can do this now. I might have to pause it again. If you guys can see that or not. Maybe I'm better. Maybe I should come back to this one and go back to this one. Okay, so in the fifth dimension, unity consciousness, love continues to grow within, and it now begins to translate into compassion and understanding for the external world. You feel the connection to everyone and everything around you, including source energy. You live in unity consciousness, but still recognize yourself as an individual that's a part of a whole. Love is the only real concept, and we now live through the heart. Actually, I'm going to pause this and see if I can go down to this other image here. Hold on. Okay, so I hope I can hold this here. I don't know if this is going to turn out to be disjointed or not, but I'm hoping that it flows in a way that everybody's able to stay with me. So in a 5D concept, the only concept that really makes any sense or that is really real is love. And you understand that you ultimately have the power to create the perception of your reality. At this point, nothing has power over you or your reality unless you have on some level agreed to it. Unless you've, you understand that you're contracted to it in some way. There is no ego. Nothing is inherently good or bad. There's no longer a desire to be right. Nothing is taken personally. There's no judgment of others. And there's no judgment of others who are in a different space or existing in a different reality to you. You understand that everybody is on their own path, and that everybody is going to live out their journey the way that was divinely intended for them. There's no longer a need at this point for possessions or status. There is no competition, and there's nothing to compare. You're beginning to see that Source and the universe and God all lies within. And this dimension in the 5D is beyond linear time. So you're no longer existing in linear time when you're in the 5D. Everything is in this now moment. Physical existence is still possible. When you're on this plane, you can ground in a 5D consciousness. But at this point, your body would have to go through a massive shift and go into more of a crystalline physicality, unless you're born that way with that code already in you or a part of you. And many of the children being born now in the age of Aquarius are now beginning to already come in with that physical being, not having to continually transmute and purge and everything else. They're already there. And that's what I'm really want to talk about more. I just don't know if I should be I really don't know how to do it all in one kind of sitting. So really what this is talking about in this image is that, so the Earth is a 5D planet, okay? It was it was always intended to be 5D. So she's a 5D planet, and the the human was initially designed to also be 5D when the human first came down onto the planet. But as the humans began playing in lower and lower frequencies, so if like we go back to here, so as they began to play in a lower frequency, so if they were in a 5 and then they began to play in a 4 and then they thought, okay, this was really interesting, and then they're going to be playing in a 3. So as that happened, humans then eventually, and this obviously would have happened over a long, long period of time, came into a 3D reality on a 5D planet. And this was then carried over through our DNA. And our DNA carries with it the karmic load, the ancestral karma, what's stored in our Akashic records, however you want to look at it, up until now, because there are children that are being born that are no longer carrying that because it's not needed any longer. We don't need to continually learn these lessons. We've learned what we've needed to learn from a 3D reality, which is why we are now shifting into a 4D reality. So the easiest way to look at it, and how my team in spirit has divinated it to me, is that we're on a 5D planet, and we have the capacity to hold the frequency of 5D, okay? But the atmosphere that we are living in, the grid that we are on, which is the consciousness, which is the thought forms of all the humans on the planet, the collective consciousness, has been in a 3D reality up until now. So this is the easiest way to think of it is, this is a 5D planet, and the atmosphere that I'm living in has been a 3D reality. So, and I just went over what that is, and that will be in the writing too. So what makes up the 3D reality. So main characteristics: I am separate from source. I am separate from others, and everything is dualistic: good, bad, right, wrong. Okay. And there's a lot of competition, a lot of distorted masculine and feminine energy. And that's the atmosphere that we've been living under. But now we're moving into the 4D, where then the atmosphere will be shifting, and the grid and the thought forms will be shifting to a 4D consciousness. And we, at all times, okay, are receiving information up from the planet, 5D information up to the planet, and it's also coming down, right? It's also coming down through our crown chakra from the astral realms. Okay, this energy is moving up, this energy is moving down, and this is converging in the heart. And the heart is actually where our frequency is coming from. That is what's dictating our reality. That's what's dictating our energetic frequency. And it is the function, the way that you can think of it, it's the function for the higher self. Now the brain, okay, it controls the ego self. And that voice sounds fear-based. It's there for a reason. It is there as our safety mechanism. It is our survival tool. But along the way, it gets distorted with our programming and our domestication, and in the past, with the conformity. And it is very based in judgment and duality. So your higher self is feeding you information, and it's always sounding completely different. So it is going to be sounding that the voice of your higher self is going to sound non-judgmental and understanding, and understands that it's infinite and it's always in the flow state. So you've got this information from your higher self, from the astral realms, coming down, and it gets filtered through the third eye and through the brain and then down into the energy centers. And then you've got this 5D consciousness, and it's filtering up and it's getting funneled through. Well, if you're blocked in your chakras, by the time it gets to your heart and you have, your frequency going out, it's going to be only part of the information, or it's going to be distorted, or if you're, blocked all the way, it's like, having a hose and it's like mostly restricted. You're only going to get a little bit of the energy when really you should be getting the whole flow of it. So if you're completely open and non-blocked, you're going to be getting this from as above, so below. So you're going to be getting, your guide is always going to be navigating you from 5D and higher. I mean, I know people that in their team in spirit, they're, 12th dimensional beings. So, but this is coming down and this is going up, and then it's being put out in your frequency with your dominant vibration. And again, that dominant vibration is based on all of your beliefs and most of your vibration. Okay, so if you have a range, and this person has a range here of a 3.8 to a 4.8, okay, they're holding a dominant vibration of a 4.8, but they have subconscious beliefs and past traumas and wounding and shadow side and everything else that gives them a whole range. And that is why some of their experiences are in contrast or they're unwanted, because it's there to teach us a lesson. And as we transmute that, then we tick up a little higher, and our dominant vibration then goes to a 3.9 to a 4.9 and so on and so forth as you move up in your consciousness, which again, as I said before, all consciousness is a point of perception. So in the next video, I'm going to be talking more about vibrational dissonance and your energetic frequency. So why is it that you are still, coming into contact with people that you may think, oh my gosh, why is this a part of my reality? This is, I'm not creating this. And that has to do with vibrational dissonance and the fact that we do live in a range. Like I said before, it's quite normal for you to have, a 3D belief system on one topic, and then on another topic, you're holding a 4 or a 5D consciousness. So it's not just as simple as, oh, I'm in the 4D and that's it. Your dominant vibration may be in the 4D, but you still may have some things to work through that you're not even aware of in your consciousness that are, subliminal, that are, giving you a unique energetic signature that's, in a 3 dimensional reality still. So, but yeah, so going back to this illustration, this is why the children are not being affected as potently with this virus right now, because the children that are being born into this consciousness now, this is all divinely inspired. This is all divinely planned. So nothing happens by accident. They're already coming in with a 4D consciousness, and they have had to play in a 3D consciousness since they've been on the earth plane. And for those of us that have, children that are awake, that are star seeds, that they have struggled deeply with understanding why they have to play in a 3D reality. It doesn't make sense to them. And I've told you this before, with my son being on the spectrum, that he has struggled so much with, he knows a lot, and he doesn't understand a lot of what this dualistic reality is about, and it's been very painful for him. So, and then the others of us that have been grounded into, let's say we're holding a dominant frequency of a 4D reality, this virus may not be as serious for us. It may just be a mild version of it, because the way that they've explained it to me, the way my team in spirit has explained it to me, it's like if you have altitude sickness. So you travel to a place that's a higher altitude, it's going to take you a while to adjust. We are all experiencing a version of the ascension flu on this planet right now. Okay. And if you go to a different time zone, let's say if you flew from the United States to Australia, then it would take you would have jet lag, and it would take you a while to adjust to the frequency there and to the new time zone and everything else. That's what is happening. We are moving this atmosphere, okay, is moving from a 3D reality to a 4D reality. And our frequencies are having to be pulled, our dominant frequencies are having to be pulled to a minimum of a 4.0. Now, this doesn't mean if this person, if someone or yourself is extremely ill with the virus, that, oh my gosh, they weren't awake and they had to, they're having to purge and blah, blah, blah. It could mostly have to do with the fact that, you're carrying a high karmic load. The other thing they've explained to me is that if you were already carrying let's say you were already carrying a dominant frequency of a 4.1, there's still going to need to be people that are holding an even higher vibration. So you may experience, extreme version of the illness, because you're being asked in your mission to be now holding a 5.0, or a 4.8. So it's not as simple as just like, oh, well, the person that's really ill, they must have to, really purge a lot. They do. But the reason why they do isn't necessarily because they're just holding a lower frequency. It could be because they had contracted to purge the karma, and now they're going to be getting rid of that so that the whole line can be cleared and healed through all space and time. So, but the message they really have explained to me is that everyone on this planet is going to experience a version of this. And whether that's through transference, telepathically, whether that's through the actual virus itself, whether that's through having to overcome subconscious fear-based, helping the brain function now, still to keep you safe, but not in a fear state any longer. And remember, duality still will exist in this 4D. It's just, it won't be as extreme as it was before. It'll be more spiritually based. And we're seeing that now. We are already seeing people that are coming together, that are helping others, that are, doing so many selfless acts, that are really feeling spiritually inspired. So you're seeing the shift. And what you're also seeing is people in a great amount of fear. And just remember that those are people that are in terror, and they are still figuring out, they're having to come to the understanding that they are not separate. They are not separate. They are connected. And that's scary. And for those of us that have been through it, we understand. But as they're going through their fear state, understand that you have the ability to tap into the love. The higher, the more able you are, okay, to hold this frequency, the better able you're going to be pulling everybody up. This won't last as long, and it won't be as traumatic. So, hold that frequency. And I'm not going to tell you what to do because you're already doing it and you know what to do. But this is from an energetic perspective, what is happening. And it gives you kind of a snapshot on why it's happening. And so I really hope that helps. I know this was a ton of information, and I'll definitely be doing more follow-ups, and I'll be writing articles to kind of go hand in hand with this. And I want to talk more about vibrational dissonance, and especially as that relates to, the people that you're in relationship to. As you begin to raise your vibration, other people start to fall away out of your life, and you haven't done anything wrong and they haven't done anything wrong. It just means that as your frequency rises, you can no longer exist in reality with other people, and that does cause a shift. And for those of my twins out there, you're in constant states of vibrational dissonance until your energetic signature, is within the same range. This person over here, this is where they share a range. This person over here may experience, have a good experience when they come into contact with this person because they're pulling them up. And this person may come into contact with this person and think like, why are they bringing me down? Why is this happening? And that's what's going to happen in vibrational dissonance. One of two things: either someone's going to get pulled up or someone is going to get pulled down, because you have to exist in a space where both of you are on the same frequency. And that, my friends, is what is happening on the planet as a whole. We are experiencing a vibrational dissonance, and a ton of people are being pulled up to a higher frequency, and we all are experiencing a version of ascension flu. And you can Google it, and any of those people that are on the spiritual path, the path of awakening, you have experienced ascension flu so many times. I know I have. I know that, I've been going through it the last several weeks as well. So none of us are immune to that. And we all have our parts of our signature that are going to need to be transmuted and healed. And the best thing that you can do when you're receiving downloads, when your light codes are being activated, when you are experiencing an ascension, is to rest. And I'm trying to think. I think it was my friend Tracy who said we're all being put in a timeout right now, and I kind of like that analogy because it's true. It's like we're all being put in a timeout, and we're all being asked to just surrender and receive and just remember, you guys, there's so much love there right now. I mean, the amount of information that is just being pumped through me right now is insane. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I could keep going on, and I probably will in more videos to come. But I hope that helps some of you. Love, light, and blessings to you all. And let me know if this resonated with you. And if you guys could please, give me a thumbs up and subscribe and comment and share. I really, I just started this channel, and if someone wants to give me a shout out, anything, I would appreciate, because I don't get any exposure unless this, the algorithms lend that with the likes and the comments and the shares. So if you could do that, I would be so grateful. I really would. This is so nerve-wracking for me. This isn't something I thought I would be doing. And, I've been in such a place lately where I've, just been receiving all of this. I understand all of it, but I just have not known how to articulate it in a way that was digestible for people, because, I'm not preaching to anybody. This is my truth. This is what I know in this now moment. And, hopefully it resonated with you on some level as well. It doesn't make me right. It doesn't make me wrong. I am the channel for this information. And, I have to honor that. I have to honor that it's been given to me, and I need to put it out there, from that perspective. So love, light, and blessings to all of you, and talk to you soon.